This AFL season hasn't felt like the shortest, with a March game remaining that got shoved to late August. When it comes to behinds, the Lions kick many. Toby was clutch and Port did it for Kenny. Rankins in Rome, Harley Reid set to stay, but the Blues exodus starts with Jack and TDK. One game to go, forget what the trends say. Could we see a boil over this week on a Wednesday? This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. Good morning, gentlemen, on this Wednesday.
Good morning, Will.
Nice
Good morning,
start,
Will.
Will.
Nice,
Morning,
good
Daisy.
start.
You're up and about this morning.
I am.
How come? You're in a good mood.
Always in a good mood.
You are, but especially in a good mood today.
No,
Extra.
look, there's an outside chance I've got a few days off, and I'm just going to chase a little bit of sunshine, which I'm very much looking forward to. So,
Northern New South Wales?
yes, wherever Byron Bay is on the the world map.
Not being a part-timer, are you?
No. When you haven't had a day off, Joey, you deserve one on a weekend when there's nothing. So
You
Get
are
up early.
one of the hardest workers,
I,
Daisy, so
I
you
have-
deserve your break.
No, thank you very much. And it's a weekend where, thankfully, there's not a whole lot going on. We've got Wednesday night footy, which, again, surely the Gold Coast Suns can't gas it. We'll touch on that at some point. But, yeah, not a whole lot going on. So I like that. A little bit of a lull before we rip into finals.
So no Legends game for you, though.
I couldn't help them out with this one,
Couldn't help them
unfortunately.
out.
No.
You've been good.
Well, it was
Sitting
all
on heads, kicking nanas.
But a 3-week-old baby as well. You know, there was going to be a chance that we obviously didn't know when she was going to come. So I just parked it out of the safety of what it was. Didn't want to commit and then have to pull out. You know what it is. So good luck. That should be a lot of fun. And I did hear your boy Rui. So there's a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about who's going to play and how they're playing and what sort of condition they're in. And we obviously worked with Stevie and he went for a hike, which I'm not
Did
sure.
you hear that story, Damo?
No.
Because Stevie told us he was going to do a 2-week pre-season training.
2 weeks,
And then
yeah.
after 1 week, we asked him how he's gone, Daisy. He goes, I went for a hike on Monday. We said, that's your exercise? And he goes, yeah, up the Yangs. And he said, haven't been able to walk since. That was
So you
5
can't
days
walk and
later.
you've gone uphill to play. Anyway, that's bizarre. So we're not
So
sure.
he's
when-
not in good nick.
But he's paid off Gary Ablett Jr. effectively, so
Yes.
more cash for Gaz. He'll be looking for him.
kicking
But
us
Rui,
Yep.
Rui had this to say.
Like I've had this niggling little calf thing
Oh,
that's just been hanging around, the typical old man injury. And every time I go out and just try to go for like a little jog, because I haven't been able to run much over the last 5 or 6 years. It just keeps it just keeps like grabbing and feathering a little bit.
Is he making excuses?
This,
Well,
Damo,
Dave?
this is called conditioning the
Yeah.
public. This is what Rui's doing. Rui's conditioning
You know
everyone.
him well enough to
I
know
do.
this?
He's
Yeah.
anxious. I guarantee you he'll be nervous about playing this game. So he wants to condition everyone. If he doesn't get a kick, I've got a sore calf.
It sounds to me like it's a heart-related calf injury. I don't know.
Where our boy Stevie can be 10 kilos overweight, he'll just come out and kick
He'll
6.
still do
You know
something
it, where
special.
Rui just wants to condition everyone.
What's the protocol in these exhibition games? You need to be seen to be trying only to a point,
Yeah.
but not too hard. Is that?
I reckon it is.
Fair to
It's
say?
a fine line when there's
Yeah.
because you don't want it to be no one tries because then the spectacle's not
Yeah.
worth it. But you don't want any Richie Vandenbergs out there playing that are trying to.
Well, your boy-
remember Richie Vandenberg was always the one that was running harder than everyone else in these legends.
Filling
games.
holes and
Yeah.
running backwards.
But so there's a few like the prime train's going to be playing, and he's like.
He's fit.
Yeah, he's fit and he's young, and Dan Gorringe's the same. Dan does footy. He'll be trying. Tommy Sheridan, not sure how he covers the ground these days, but he's still young and fit.
Yeah.
Rui won't be able to help himself. He's still
Yeah.
the ultimate competitor, and he gets his little look, and you know him better than I.
He won't be able to help himself. He won't be able to help himself, and he gets a bit of white line fever. So it
Because
should
if
be
he
fun.
starts well, he'll want to be best on, and if he doesn't start well,
He'll
he
say he's got a
won't want to be
sore calf.
worst on. Yeah, so it's going to be good fun.
Another thing, Daisy, normally in this show, you're the footy expert and you are the oracle. We love to give you credit.
Well,
for
he
it.
was. He was.
He was the
He
oracle.
was.
D-
3
Funny
years
you
ago.
say that, Damo. He
Oh.
was the oracle
Yeah.
because coming in today, and I just thought to myself, how did Damo tip last week?
I'm big on the Kenny component to this match. I'm tipping the power. Look, I just need to do this to see my Fremantle, I put in inverted commas, hopes for the year. I tipped them to make the grand final at the start of the year. I'm going to tip them in this game, but I think it's a silly tip.
Damo.
I got 9 last
Nine
week.
out of
Nine.
Couple of roughies. What about that for a
There
week?
you go.
Hey?
I came late. I did some damage early in terms of negatively doing some damage on my own selections early in the season, but I held on
Well
and
done.
got the last 2 roughies up. So.
Yeah, very
Well,
good.
I'll happily pass on the Oracle.
No, it's yours.
The monocle, maybe the monocle or something. The monocle
Daisy Thomas is the Oracle.
to Damo.
We'll get that changed to Damo.
No, very good.
Well done. Good work.
I thought they were a chance, and what a great game that Bulldogs and Dockers game was. They produced the best, and we'll talk about it in the news segment coming up. But we couldn't expect an upset tonight, could we? Wednesday night?
Million to
one.
You reckon? Million to one.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
You honestly think Gold Coast could lose?
They shouldn't. 99%, as you say, they shouldn't, but they're still 1%.
We'll
Save it. Your prediction is to come
we're going to do a whole segment on. We're going to do a whole tipping
wrap
segment
it up.
on.
I've got to get to the airport. Come on.
As well as fair dinkum or Fugazi. But Damo's news is next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, thanks to BWS. That huge Gold Coast Bombers game tonight. We'll get your prediction later on in the episode. But Damo news first, and players are starting to leave the Blues.
Exit meetings occurring all week, obviously. There's a couple that are pretty crucial at the Essendon Bulldogs there. They need to wait for tonight's game just to be, I suppose, certain of where their status is. But the confirmation yesterday of the Jack Silvani exit of the Carlton Footy Club, we'd been conditioned to it for some weeks already. I think your reporting on it, Days, was as crucial as anyone's when it came to the strong possibilities of that being the case. And now he's got a choice to make. Is St Kilda making a late run for him? I know that the Western Bulldogs are nicely positioned, as is the Collingwood Football Club, but the Saints, are they a left field candidate here?
I hadn't heard of that, Joey. His old man's obviously there.
I'm not ruling it out. I don't have anywhere near as much of a gut feel.
You wouldn't have said that unless you got something.
I don't have as much a gut feel as Wanganeen Miller. I'd just keep an eye on this space. The Sergio, so they're the original mafia. Sergio going all the way back there. Years ago. We'll just wait and see. But no, it's slim chance.
Well, I think, and obviously there's a bit to play out with the Western Bulldogs and what they do, but that hole has never been more glaring for a football side as to they need a serious defender and somebody who can actually defend. And Jackie's obviously that, so St Kilda chuck their hat in the ring. Good luck to them. The Pie's obviously in there as well, but I think right now the Western Bulldogs will be your front runner.
Okay,
nice.
And then you send it down the line with Carlton. Again, we've got confirmation. It should come. We need to time code this. It's 9:51 as we are talking to today. Right now on the Wednesday, there could be confirmation at some stage of today on the Tom de Koning move officially to St Kilda. If it's not today, it'll be this week, and that is going to happen. And then I think all focus then goes on to Charlie Curnow. We've been saying on this show now for, I think, the best part of 3 months that Graham Wright, the incoming and now a started CEO of the Blues, will control the possibilities around this. And I just keep arguing he's open to every possible scenario if certain clubs come to him with a feasible and viable and potentially real trade option. And I think that just puts the focus back clearly on the Sydney Swans particularly, and also depending on what the Suns do in the next match tonight and maybe for a few more matches this year, I believe they too will be very keen to see what Charlie Curnow may look like in a potential move this year.
So it feels like he's open to it, even though he's denied it. It feels like that he probably is open to a fresh start. You think Carlton may be open to it, but it needs to be an enticing deal that suits
they're going to get a lot.
It needs to be a real offer. No, it's not. Graham Wright will just hang up if someone says, "Look, we're interested. How's it look?"
Ollie Florin and pick 20.
That's not going to work. It'll need to be real. It'll need to be something with genuine currency. But it's a conversation absolutely to be had. And as this gets closer to the official start of the trade period, which, as we know, is the week after the grand final when it officially opens, these conversations will get pointy-ended. And you just don't know. If the Suns bomb out in week one, what happens in that space? Obviously, the non-Victorian component to it, I believe, quite strongly, is appealing as a potential option for Charlie Curnow.
If you're a Gold Coast, Daisy, and they probably feel they should play finals, that their window should be very, very soon, would you be open to trading one of Jed Walter or Ethan Reid as part of the package so Carlton still get a young generational key forward and they can start to regenerate where Gold Coast can be in the sweet spot in the next 2 years to try and win a flag?
Jeez, it'd be bold.
That's probably what I think would have to start.
That would be the starting point only.
It'd have to be that, or
and
somehow they get other clubs involved, and they give away whatever they've got. Yada yada.
Yeah,
There's all of that can happen. But there's no doubt there's been a shift though in what this is sort of feeling like, and both sides and how they're approaching it. Because when the Gold Coast Suns was floated a month, 6 weeks ago, the question was asked, and put it to a few people, and it was categorically no, zero chance. It isn't happening.
It's changed.
We got it wrong. We thought he was shopping him around. He thought we were shopping him around. Incorrect. Since then, though, there's been the shift to, well, if it works for both of us, I'm open to it. You're open to it. What are your thoughts? So it's sort of in that weird spot at the minute that they're both somewhat open to it,
and
but no one's willing to come forward with that.
as you know, this is how these events unfold. It's a slow build, it's a slow burn. And ultimately, I keep going back to the man controlling all of this is Graham Wright. I've dubbed him the agent of change many months ago, and that's what he will be when it comes to this space. It's up to him, almost in isolation, as to whether this does or doesn't happen. And I believe, as I've said now for 3 or 4 months, he's open to the conversation if it's real.
You give me Ethan Reid or Jed Walter plus something else, I'm pretty confident and happy to get that deal done.
This is just hypotheticals, of
Oh,
course.
we don't want
that on the record.
We don't want to death ride those two blokes and
But
where
to
their
your
footy's
point,
to be
and
played.
You know the market, it has changed. The mindset around all of it has changed from both sides.
It's gone from
the equation.
100% no to, well, yeah, everything's on the table.
And Damo, I think the other point's important too is everyone say, well, Michael Voss wouldn't want that to happen because he's coaching for his career essentially. But these decisions are bigger than a coach. These are club decisions for long term. So it would go. Michael Voss would have some input, of course, but list management and the hierarchy would decide if they think this is best for the footy club.
Well, the decision's being made around Michael Voss's team, all the assistant coaches now. There's, I think, 4 who are not going to be there as of next year already. So, and he's got the contract only for 2026. It's not ultimately in his control right now, and that's the way that club has now set itself up under Graham Wright's stewardship. Harley Reid re-signed officially yesterday. So just to remind people, first-year draftees are now 3-year contracted players. So that takes in 2026 already from Harley Reid's draft year. He's added 2027 and 2028. I think it's a smart decision by all parties here. It allows Harley Reid to see, at a minimum, 5 years as an Eagle. It also now puts a timeline and a runway on the Eagles needing to get themselves right if they are to keep him beyond that point. And within that time frame, you've got the target that they had this year before Chad Warner said, no, I'm going to stay at the Swans for 2 years. So they've got basically 2 years to convince, I think, Chad Warner that he's that they are a viable option for him, which would ultimately help Harley Reid stay there longer than the deal he's got.
Yeah, love it. I love seeing the Stars stay at their original clubs. I think it's a tick for Andrew McQualter that for Harley Reid to feel that they are slowly. It's going to be a long burn, but heading in somewhat the right direction. I like it. It is important to note that next year he's not a $2 million player. He's still in the 3rd year of his initial draft contract. So hopefully that pressure isn't on him then. But after that, the expectation is that he becomes one of the better players in the comp, which I'm still confident that he will be in years 4 and 5 in the system for him. I love it. And it's also a reminder, Daisy, that generally all these names get bandied about. More often than not, they stay at their clubs. That is the scenario that generally unfolds.
I don't think the price tag adds any more pressure to what he's already faced.
It can't be much
He's
more.
front and back page every time. Every time we speak of the West Coast Eagles, we speak of him. And I can't wait to see how he comes back after a preseason. Go away, have a really good chunk. I think it's open, and the West Coast Eagles were open in saying that he probably didn't present in the best nick day one this year. Go and sort that out, have an unbelievable preseason, get that body, which is already strong, a bit more muscle, turn into a real young man-child. I think he can be dominating as early as next year.
Just needs a bit of support around him. Bit more mature bodies. They've got to help him out with some players into that club.
They do. He has privately acknowledged the fact that he's now realising that he hasn't presented properly
And
in that purely
happens,
professional
but
I
sense.
love that.
players.
And he is he's a footballer.
Yeah.
He isn't
Country
your
kid
Nick
who just-
Dacos who's come in and he's been doing skin fold since he was 13 and been doing ice baths since he was out of the womb. He's literally just an old country footballer from Tungala who loves playing footy, having a good time with his mates, and now he's realised the levels you have to get to if you want to be the best at the AFL.
Yep. Awkward situation for the Bulldogs this week. We can critique their form and lack of impact this year, particularly what happened to them in their last game against the Dockers, but they ultimately have to wait until the result confirmation tonight. Suns beating Bombers means that they're out of the 8, and that means they've had everything on a holding pattern at the moment with regards to their exit meetings. So everything's been pushed back to at least till tomorrow. They had a training session yesterday. They went through the rigmarole of all that. The big issue for them, and it's been brewing now for the best part of 12 months, is the Jamara Ugle-Hagan situation. I am absolutely convinced now that he is not going to be on the Bulldogs list next year, despite having a contract for that. I'm not convinced there's going to be overwhelming offers for him to leave the Bulldogs from other clubs, but I'm also knowing that the AFL is overseeing his whole welfare and management programs away from football, and there'll be an intent for the AFL to have him in the system somewhere. So if the Bulldogs can't trade him out in the trade period, I believe they'll just come to an arrangement where he does not play and does not have any links at all to their club next year, regardless of that contract. And how that looks, they'll have to pay him out to a point, but not necessarily the full rack rate, which is about $900,000.
I did a bit of this last night on the agenda setters. I reckon 6 months ago there would have been a real thought of the Western Bulldogs fans internally, like, how has this happened? How have we found ourselves in this predicament? We've got a number 1 draft pick who we're going to give away or have to sack and then pay out. I think after what we've seen from Jordan Croft over the past couple of weeks, that little bit of the ouch may not be as bad because you go, okay, well, it's a hole to fill, yes, but this kid's pretty good. And do we just cut ties and move on? Make it easier for everyone. Take away the distraction, which has been whichever way you want to spin it. And I think purely from what we've seen from young Jordan Croft, that it probably isn't such a bitter pill to swallow just now.
That won't be for the Dogs, and I understand why they would want to do that, and it's his own doing as well, what he's created with the situation. But I just feel for the young man, for his own health, being at a football club would be the best place for him. I just worry that if he is cut from the Bulldogs and no one picks him up, what his life might look like next year. So that is probably the concern the AFL would have as well.
Yeah, and you're right in raising that. The club itself, I mean, I'm critical of the club, as you know, regularly, but I think they've handled this as well as they could have possibly. And the oversight now of his welfare and well-being is in the hands of the AFL. They have ultimately put him into those programs this year, and they've done as best the job they can as well. But as recently as last weekend, as we saw, he was outside a nightclub at 2:30. And again, I'm not judging him for being that, but when there's a bullet being shot and just missing him, and this is his own words, by a metre, inadvertently, it's a lifestyle that is not conducive to high-end football, and that's where they're at. So there's the life element to this, and there's the football element to it, and we're talking about the football one there. And just one more, guys. I love the selection in the squad, at least, of Luke Jackson and Josh Dunkley in the 40-man AFL All-Australian squad selections, because normally those sort of hybrid players don't necessarily get the natural look-ins. I mean, Dunkley, there's better midfielders than him, but there may not be better players than him. And equally, I've loved what Jackson's done this year, and I've been saying for some weeks now that I really feel he deserves to be the backup big man to Max Gawn in that official team.
Pretty good squad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to look at it and go, who was stiff to miss out? And generally when you go to Twitter and that's pretty quiet, it's a good sign that they've done a decent enough job, the selectors, and I can't really mount too many cases for others that should be in ahead of anyone else.
I'm strong that Aaron Norton deserved to be ahead of Ben King. Ben King's kicked goals, but he's done nothing else. Aaron Norton's had big impact. He's had more impact on games. That's probably the one I was really surprised about.
Again, though, that's your squad collection.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben King will be in the actual side.
No, he won't make the team.
Yeah.
No.
Don't go anywhere. That final round 24 prediction is still to come, as well as fair dinkum or Fugazi up next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. Joey, St Kilda is now a destination club.
Gee, the narrative's changed quickly, hasn't it? It was an exodus 3 weeks ago. Now they all want to come. We're fending
because
them
of
off.
you, Joey.
We're fending them off with sticks.
But this is why the NAS signature was so important.
Yeah,
Your club has become instantly more relevant.
It has become more of a destination club. I'm tipping there's still other clubs that are more of a destination club, but I'm going to give that a fair income to some extent.
And give yourself a pat on the back for the role you played in it.
Damo, Geelong supporters should continue their annual fight to play a home final at Kardinia Park.
Fair dinkum. They should. They won't have any success in it, but if you line it up with the fact that we are most likely going to see a game at the Giants Stadium, there's every reason for a Geelong fan to think he or she should be watching their team at that venue, but it's just not going to happen.
Daisy, Carl Amon's insufficient intent call was too harsh and not the type of decision we want paid in finals.
Fair income, a bit of understanding as to what was happening there. He didn't hit that ball where he should have as a handball, so it was a skill error. There was players in the area where it was intended on going. So I think a bit more game nous would have seen that just be a throw in, because there's no way it was insufficient intent. It was just insufficient skill.
Joey.
Yes.
The Giants are the most likely side from the bottom four to make a premiership run in the finals.
Fair income, yes. They are the team that if they get hot, their best is as good as anyone's. I find it hard to think any team will win it from outside the top four, but yeah, I'll say yes, the Giants are the most likely.
Damo, the captain of the wooden spoon side opting to join the reigning premiers via free agency is a sign that equalisation is currently broken.
Fair income, but it has been for the entirety of the free agency system. And again, West Coast has got the right to match the bid that the Lions are going to make for Oscar Allen. They'll choose not to, as North Melbourne chose not to with Ben Mackay a couple of years ago. So, yeah, they're going to take the pick too that the herbs and spices will flick out.
Daisy, Joey suggested it was Aaron Norton, but Callum Wilkie was the unluckiest non-selection in the All-Australian squad.
Yeah, he was one of the names that I was loosely thinking of. And again, unbelievable year, bloody good player in a side that does a lot of defending. Probably nice acknowledgement to be in the squad. I don't think he would have been in the side. However, yeah, there's players who are stiff. every year, and unfortunately for him, he fits that boat, but had a great year nonetheless.
Joey, the strength of the Bulldogs list is overstated.
Yeah, that's fair income.
In capitals.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never seen a team so reliant on so few than the Western Bulldogs. Their top 8 are as good as any 8 in the competition, adamant. But if you looked at their bottom 11 that played on the weekend.
Is it 11, you reckon?
11. They're either young kids or fringe players at best. So they have got an elite top end, but there's too big of a gap. You talk about a 2-tiered AFL competition. There's a 2-tiered list with the Western Bulldogs. So they need to bridge that gap if they want to be better next season.
Can they fix that immediately?
Well, some of them are just youngsters. So like Daisy just spoke about Croft and some getting Cleary and Fraser they're still a lot of young. I'm still bullish on the Western Bulldogs next year. I think they can make a charge if they fix up just 1 or 2 issues with their defensive end. Some of these young players will get more minutes, and they've just got to find a little bit more depth.
Damo, Jordan Dawson is the odds-on favourite to be captain of the All-Australian side.
I'm going to say Fugazi because I feel that Harris Andrews, who's already a 2-time All-Australian and in my eyes is a lock for the key back position, should get it given his status as captain of a club that has won a premiership last year with him in charge of it. I'd be going down the Andrews path.
And
good one.
Finally, Daisy, we'll hear this first.
Collingwood win. They need some percentage as well to nail a spot in the top 4 because they've got Hawthorn and the Gold Coast Suns.
Jeepers!
Right down.
Jerry Healy.
The finals bye couldn't have come early enough for our man Chu.
Yes, that is fair dinkum. He still hasn't been the same since gather round, the initial gather round.
2023.
Yeah, I think we need to go back and just go and take a fine tooth comb to whatever happened there because he has not been the same. And old Chu man nearly took us down from the inside, didn't he?
Yeah, it's cancelled.
Yes.
We'll get that prediction for tonight's game
on,
as well as touching on the qualifying finals for next week. That's up next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. As always, you can catch all the games for the rest of the season across Triple M on the Listener app. And for round 24.2, we've got the Gold Coast and Essendon at People's First Stadium. We'll start with you, Joey.
I suppose the question is, do they win by more than 5 goals to finish in 7th spot as opposed to 8th? I think they should win pretty comfortably. 10 goals plus, so they'll finish 7th and take on Fremantle over in Perth first week of the finals.
Is there any world where they're nervous? Or it's
Nah.
go
They
and
have to
take care
be.
of business?
They have to be.
I'd like
It's
to
the most
think not.
important game in the club's 15-year
So that's
AFL
why they
history.
should be excited. They should be so excited that this is a game to make finals for the first time in the club's history.
We go
That's
out,
why you got to embrace
go
it.
and execute what we have to do. Don't worry about the margin. That will be what it is.
Yes.
Just go and
Yeah.
beat the side that's in front of you, possession by possession, contest by contest, all the old cliches, and you get it done. Gold Coast Suns play finals, and
Well done to them.
Mindset-wise, there's two components to it in this space in my eyes, and I want to get your views and perspective as ex-players. So the fact they're not playing for top 4 spot, which they would be had they beaten Port Adelaide last week, and they lost badly to them in the context of that, does that change what they do by way of approach? And equally, does Damien Hardwick at some stage of the game seek to win by that 5-goal margin if he has the ability to do so, or do you do, as Daisy just said, just get the result and let the finals matchups work themselves out?
I think there's just so much on the line for them just to play finals now. I think the top 4, that's done and dusted. Forget about that. The focus is winning a game of footy and play finals, and that's all it should be about. As Daisy said, the result, the margin will take care of itself if they play properly. If they play properly, I think they should take care of the margin anyway, but they've just got to get in. That is a huge achievement for this football club to play finals for the first time. So that should be their sole focus, and they should embrace it.
there'll be some interesting kits packed in the Essendon players' travel luggage as well.
Yes.
Finishing the
old
season on a
dress shoes in the
Wednesday,
bag.
old disco boots, and away you go.
And we'll know more by next week. But as we sit here, 2 qualifying finals are locked in.
Yeah.
Damo will start with Adelaide and Collingwood, Adelaide Oval, next Thursday night.
Yeah, well, given what happened only 3 weeks ago, it's hard to think that there's not going to be a close outcome to this, even without Jeremy Howe in that particular game, given he's not going to be available for at least the first 2 finals, you'd think. So, look, right now, Adelaide Crows are my tip, but I'm not going to be surprised at all if Collingwood hangs in, as they did only 3 weeks ago.
I think we all said it on the show here a few weeks ago. We thought Collingwood would really give it a shake, just with even though they're out of form, just because of the effort. And I think this is a toss of the coin. I can see Collingwood ambushing Adelaide over there in a qualifying final. They've got the finals experience. They found a little bit of energy with a bit of their offense, and Jordan De Goey back in form. Adelaide will be nervous, top of the ladder, a lot of pressure on them, home final. So I can see Collingwood ambushing Adelaide. I might tip an early upset without putting a lot of thought into it. I think Collingwood can win this.
That is an early upset. I won't be tipping a lot of water to go under this bridge. But looking forward to what the Pies can do. I don't think there's, from their point of view, you sit there and go, how the hell have we finished top 4? There's all these sides like the Gold Coast Suns who could have taken the spot. And you just go, all right, well, for as bad as we've been in the last month, put that aside. Let's go back to what our DNA is, what made us the best side for 16 weeks. And that was our pressure and effort, our contest work, and we play off the back of that. I think that is the simplest game plan to execute in the competition, and it will stack up in finals football because that's what it is. It's pressure, it's contest. And for that reason, they should be chock-a-block full of confidence in going and getting the job done, which arguably plays into Adelaide's favour with a Rankin discussion coming back for a grand final.
Won only 2 of their last 7 games, Days, to your point there. What do they do with the Howe absence? Is it Dan McStay? Is it as simple as that? Just make him go back and be accountable?
I don't think it is as simple as that. They will figure something out, but I go back to Darcy Moore and you defend first. I think when Howe plays, he gets to play a different role. I reckon if Darcy Moore defends first and then just be the general to get others to defend.
But who's he defend on? Is it Walker? Is it Phil Thorpe?
And again, this is why they're going to be
Is it Curtin?
So reliant on the pressure up the field. Because if the ball's coming shoulders out, it doesn't matter how many good defenders you've got back there. They've got enough firepower in that forward line, the Crows, that they can beat any side. If the dirty ball coming in and you can come across a Frampton can just spoil the ball like we've seen him do, play to his strengths, which is just keep it simple and allow others to get involved that way. But if it's, they get dominated out of the midfield, it's trouble. It will be trouble.
And then Daisy, a rematch of probably game of the year last year. Geelong hosting the Brisbane Lions at the MCG on Friday night.
Cannot wait. Geelong, very, very good, and we don't really know what they've got. Their last 6 weeks coming into the finals were very soft, and the only 2 sides they did play in the top 8 within that period of time, back third of the season, they lost both of those. So there's a little bit of the unknown, but I just feel you take Geelong on trust. It's your sort of theory. And the Lions, with what we've seen with their players coming in out of injury, some of the bigger names not being there, I am leaning towards maybe theirs is the best system. When you can just pluck somebody in and you can execute and still play the best brand of footy, your system must stack up. And to execute under pressure is what's going to be required. Great game of footy, can't wait.
This will be great. Brisbane have had the wood over them both times this year, and I think Brisbane have worked out if you move angles and switch the ball and change it against Geelong, you can catch them napping, and Brisbane do that better than any other team, just picking through a zone defence. But in saying that, I just trust Chris Scott. I don't think they're going to lose to the same team. They lost the prelim as well, so it's the last 3 times. I just can't see Chris Scott losing a 4th time in a row to Brisbane. I think he'll find a plan to beat them.
Yeah, I do go back to that game as well, and obviously that's when Max Holmes went down in the third quarter, and it just threw them totally. They were 24 points up at that stage, or 26 I think it was, and then lost the game, but fought it out hard right to the very end, and they've added Bailey Smith. Max Holmes is back and should be All-Australian starting 22 in my eyes, and you've also got better form out of Shannon Neal, and Lawson Humphries has gone again. Tom Stewart's been back in the last month.
They're the key. Stewart and Henry as well back there.
So, it's hard tipping against Brisbane, but Geelong will be my tip at this stage.
They love week 1 of the finals, the Cats. It's unbelievable. So catch tonight's final game of the home and away season on Triple M in the Listener app as the Suns try to secure their first finals campaign in club history. Then catch the Friday huddle before Triple M calls the AFLW Dreamtime game from TIO Stadium in Darwin. This has been Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub.